Hi, this is Justin Kantor of blogcritics.org. I recently had the opportunity to speak with soulful singer-songwriter Glenn Lewis, who hit the charts in a big way in 2002 with his debut album World Outside My Window, featuring the unforgettable hit Don't You Forget It. After a number of false starts over the last decade, Glenn has finally returned with his sophomore album Moment of Truth. I spoke with him at length about his journey in music and life, the full story of which you can read on blogcritics.org. And now you can listen to some excerpts from the actual interview conducted on September 11th, 2013. I hope you enjoy. And be sure to check blogcritics.org/author/Justin-Cantor, Kantor, for more in-depth artist interviews and music reviews. Peace. Growing up in Toronto, your beginnings, how would you describe the scope of culture and the overall atmosphere of growing up there?
It's very much like, for real, a melting pot. There's so many different cultures, and it's pretty. It was definitely a pretty amazing experience that lended itself to me having a pretty open view. As far as with music, and needless to say, a lot of artists that came from here, from Joni Mitchell, so many different artists that sort of had an effect in my creative process, and yeah, it just we didn't have like typical black radio out here, you know what I mean? So it's like, I grew up listening to what was basically like top 40 radio.
Right. Okay.
And you know what I mean? So I was like listening to, the Police and like Aerosmith, and so what was cool about it was, it was all a different approach to songwriting.
Okay.
All different vibes and styles, and so that was pretty cool.
You've also mentioned in your bio that when you first set out to write your first song, that it was a way of hoping to get attention from a girl of interest. And I was curious, was that because like she liked music, or was it because you knew it was a talent you had that you felt was like your best way to get the attention of someone, or what kind of went through your mind when you sat down to write that first song?
It was more so, I wasn't sure what kind of music she liked or what music she listened to, but it was just something that I thought would be different or unique. You know what I mean? If to write her a song and sing it to her, I just figured that was, it would be something that would stand out among what anybody else might try to do to sort of win her over or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So
when the opportunity came up to tour with the Backstreet Boys, was that something kind of out of the blue, or what was that whole experience like for you?
It sort of came up, and it was sort of unexpected. I didn't know what to expect. I was kind of like, action. I was like, what in the world, But
it didn't seem like a likely match, huh?
Yeah, but it ended up actually being, really cool. Brian, and AJ, we became, really cool. Even Kevin, really, but mostly AJ and Brian, and particularly AJ, we became really cool.
Was there anything you learned from that experience, like performing? I imagine it was pretty large audiences compared to maybe what you had performed in front of before. Is there anything that you took from that experience, that part of it?
You hit the nail on the head. I'd never performed like stadiums and stuff, so that was definitely pretty different.
Okay.
So it was overwhelming, but I ended up becoming pretty comfortable with it pretty quickly. It was a lot of it was very cool, because it was the kind of thing that I definitely wanted to. I aspired to get to that level of having that broad of an audience. So, it was something where I was like, well, I better get used to this kind of thing.
So it got your confidence up.
Yeah,
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about a few specific songs on the album that were standing out to me, and maybe any thoughts you have on them in particular. One of them being the opening song, Time Soon Come, which is, real feel good. tune, and I thought it was fitting, just even in the beginning of the song, how you're singing, I'll put in the work, anything you need, consider it done, which is kind of, you're talking about a relationship, but that also kind of reflects, you've obviously put a lot of work into your career and, that theme of commitment. So was there any situation that you were going through that specifically inspired that song, or do you remember about the birth of that song?
Yeah, it was. The funny thing is, it took a while to get to it because the music was there, and I was trying to relay the idea conceptually that I wanted to do. And originally, I was working with this one guy, and he wasn't quite getting what I was saying. And then I got together with a writer by the name of Balewu, and he's written for Jaheim and a few other people. He hit the nail on the head. He knew exactly where I was trying to go, and wanting it to be something where I could have fun and it was a little bit more assertive, and it gave like a different spin or a different look, to any would-be fan or any fans, because like the thing about it is, obviously it's hard for everybody, through a musical piece like a project. It's hard for anybody to see every side of you. Like we're all multidimensional, you know what I mean? So I just want to be able to show that I could have a little bit of lighthearted fun, and,
right?
And just knowing that my my listening audience is predominantly women, so I wanted to show a different side to them.
Now the song "Random Thoughts" is a real standout. I think you have a lot of good analogies in there that people can relate to nowadays. When you're talking about hashtag these random thoughts of my heart, and I can't explain everything I'm trying to say because I'm living in 8 characters. I was curious, about that song, because it's very interesting when you think about how much people communicate via texting and various social networking means, even people that are close to one another. Do you find that, or I should say, do you think is it in these times with that as the main means of communication for a lot of people, is it possible to have an authentic relationship when that's kind of the way of doing things, or what kind of, what are your thoughts on that in relation to that song?
I mean, I think maybe how people meet or stay in contact. I think this just gives communication a different dimension. But I think the more significant aspects of making a connection with a person, I think that'll never change. In that you got to put that time in. Sitting in front of a laptop or sitting on your phone is in no way comparable to actually intimately getting time in with a person and being able to make eye contact, not through a laptop but actually face to face, and being able to touch their face or stroke their hair or hold their hand or kiss or be able to actually be present, kiss them on the lips, whatever. So yeah, I think that song again was sort of more of a playful reference to, just the times and where we're at and how we sort of communicate with one another and just sort of having fun with it. And, but I think definitely, it in no way replaces the real thing of being, present, being in someone's presence and really getting quality time in.